Welcome to Grolix Nights, the Grolix Podcast live show. Hello, everybody. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
How's it going this evening, guys?
It's pretty good.
Well, yeah.
I've got the intro down, right? But then, like, after that, I'm like, what do I say? All right, here's what I should say. On tonight's agenda, we are going to be talking about the feature topic will be Mortal Kombat, because we've got to talk about that. It came out last weekend, and I was expecting it the week before, frankly. So they were late. We're never late, so I don't know what the deal is. And then we're also going to be talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier. Season 1 wrapped up since we last talked about it, so we're going to talk about that. I'm sure we have things to say about that. Perhaps a speech that we could give to make everything okay. And, Paul. Hey, Paul, what's going on? He says no agenda, free for all. Oh, no agenda. Throw the agenda out.
Yeah.
Jesse finished Watchmen, the series, which is not new, but Melanie and I finished it a while ago, and I know Melanie and I had a lot to say about it, so I'm very curious to hear what Jesse has to say about it. And then there's also a couple trailers that came out recently that we might talk about if we have time. And that's it. That's what we're going to do. As always, chat. I want to hear what you guys have to say about what you guys have been watching. Savannah says, I'm here and might not fall asleep during this episode, but COVID. Yeah. I heard Savannah got it. Yeah, I mean, that might have influenced me to, like, I really should make my appointment to go get my shot, which I will be doing on Monday, because I'm like, that would be my luck. I'm not anti-vax, I just am lazy. So I better just go do it, because, yeah, it's a bummer to get it after the vaccines are out, But I get it. And I know Savannah's case, I know, I was talking to Melanie about it. She's very busy with work. Work should like, hey, paid day off, whatever.
Well, and that's one of the measures of the most recent thing, I thought, or he was pushing for it.
Right.
He being the president. I don't know why I'm tippy-toeing around this. I'm trying not to be political, but it's the president.
I mean, maybe for some people it is, but I think after the last one, we can once again at least refer to the president without the conversation automatically becoming political. The last one, you couldn't really. You couldn't. And that's,
Well, I think because of that president, other people would disagree with that statement. Everything's political now. Because
yeah, kind of.
Oh, I was reading that as because of the last one, all presidents are now ruined. You can't.
Well, I mean, we'll see. Time will tell on that one.
Right. Okay, well, let's move on to other things. First off, chat, what have you guys been watching? I feel like all of our conversations are going to... You know what? I mentioned trailers if we have time. Let's open with trailers.
All right, yeah. Because that's as close to news as we've got.
Right, yeah. We're not going to do the regular news thing. We're going to try to keep it brief, which is about like saying, I'll be right back in a horror movie.
And we've got a Marvel thing to talk about, a DC thing to talk about, and a video game thing to talk about. We're going to be here for hours.
Oh, you're right. I mean, on the upside,
only thing that's missing is Doctor Who. What do you got?
I know, this is almost like it's kind of the nerd trifecta. It's almost, yeah. Savannah, I rewatched all of Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
That's a real nerd trifecta.
Like, did you go full extended edition, or do you have like a life to live?
No, she didn't, because she's been quarantined.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, if you were ever going to do the full extended version trilogy, now is that time. You did the 4-hour movies. Good on you. They're great.
God.
if you get the time.
So many.
I don't recommend the Hobbit ones necessarily. Except for the last one. I don't know what they did, but they were like, hey, let's put a bunch of nonsense in these first two and just call them extended. And then in the third one, we'll put relevant stuff in there.
I've got to, yeah, so many endings. I've got to highlight these two comments because Savannah said that, followed immediately by Paul saying that, which is fun. Audio listeners, you're missing out. Hey, audio listeners, if you're checking this out on the podcast feed, first off, you're probably like, where was last week's episode? Sorry. And second off, hey, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Central Time. Hit us up. Grawlix Podcast Facebook page, YouTube channel, and Twitch channel. We're there. Look us up.
Yeah.
We're the Grawlix Podcast. We're not a comedy group.
That's who we are.
But we are funny.
Ah.
Or at least I'm funny, I guess.
Yeah, right. Savannah's going to watch the Hobbit movies tomorrow.
And I have no judgment on those extended versions. I own them all, and I've watched them all. But that's why I also have regrets. I'm like, man, you don't need to watch those extended Hobbit ones. But all the best special features are on those, and those are like twice as long as the extended cut of the movie. They're fascinating. That's what I miss most about physical media, man. You know, like everything's streaming now. I need commentary. I need extended featurettes.
Yeah, I miss that too. I think about that sometimes, and I wish like a Netflix or some. I know there's been talk of maybe they've experimented with it or something. At least, yeah, I miss the behind the scenes stuff and the featurettes. Basically, like stuff that they don't bother putting together anymore because why spend money to have somebody film and or edit that stuff together if they can't use it as like a selling point for the.
Yeah.
But like I miss that stuff. At least throw that up on YouTube or something. Use it to like. They do kind of still do that for some movies, but it's not a good in-depth stuff because it's usually very promotional. Like if you look up, we're going to talk about Mortal Kombat. If you look up Mortal Kombat behind the scenes, there's a ton of like various little featurettes, but they're all just kind of
it's the stuff they put on Vudu. Like Vudu does have bonus features, but they're just like little like clips that you could use as a commercial almost.
Right. And but the commentaries, man, I loved audio commentaries.
Yeah, that's what I really miss.
Mm-hmm.
Really miss those.
Good ones. I mean, I think in the past I've read that Netflix had experimented with basically releasing commentaries as like podcast audio almost, but I don't know.
You'd have to sync it. I don't know about that.
Why don't they just do like HBO and stuff used to do where they'd have like a little 15-minute thing or something like a trailer before the show came out talking about it. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Kind of like what like they did after the Game of Thrones. Like they'd have a little like just a little I don't know, featurette about that episode.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, those weren't bad. They didn't usually spend a lot of time to get too in-depth into stuff, but those were pretty decent most of the time. But I mean, like the streaming wars, we talked about it last week, I think. The streaming wars, they're in full swing. You know, Netflix is down so many subscribers, HBO Max is up, blah blah blah. Here's how you get competitive. You start offering those features. Netflix, spend some money, offer, whatever movie you've got coming up, get a hold of the director and or producer or actors. Be like, hey, record a commentary track for this Netflix exclusive commentary track. When the movie's on Netflix, all you have to do is pull up the little audio menu and be like, boop, switch over, English, whatever other foreign language audio there might be, commentary. Switch over to that if you want to, and offer that. I mean, the idea of making those exclusive kind of sucks, but offer that as like an exclusive bonus. Like, hey, we have the commentary track with the director.
That would be really smart. Amazing. Yeah.
Right.
You know what else they could do where they wouldn't even really have to I mean, and it's not the kind of thing that you want to know because you want way more in depth. But for other people and they want to be lazier, they could just have like a pop up video version where it just has like the little like facts,
Right.
And I think a lot of people would be interested in that too.
How is pop up video yet that format not the most popular thing in the world with the like
TikTok generation
expansion span? Yeah.
Yeah.
Attention span. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Savannah says they had some whole conversation, but you're beautiful, Melanie.
Oh, thanks.
Paul misses pop-up video. And it doesn't have to be for music videos, but yeah, no, that little thing, or with, for a while, the 2-screen experience or the second screen experience was like a thing.
Oh yeah.
Boom. Like you're casting to the computer or to your Chromecast or whatever you're watching on your smart TV. Have the app on the phone like coordinate and be like, have little facts. Amazon kind of has a thing like that, I noticed, where at least for some shows and movies if I were watching on the Chromecast, which
oh yeah, the X-ray function, that's really cool.
I pull up on the phone, it'll like list, maybe that is what it is, I'm not sure.
Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called.
I don't know, but like
it'll tell you who's in the scene, and then you can click on it and see what else there are. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was super cool when I noticed that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't envy the people who have to go through the movie and collect the data for the entire movie or TV series of like, okay, who's in this scene? Who's in this scene? What about that guy? He's only in there for like 2 seconds. Well, throw him in there. Like that's got to suck. They could have the MK Toasty guy pop in with facts.
That would be awesome. Ed Boon, he's a creator.
I like that. I also feel like Paul is
trying to move us along. He's trying to shepherd us.
Not unwise.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Melanie tries to do that too.
Right. Because remember, this whole conversation started from, let's just talk about trailers real quick. We haven't even talked about them.
We haven't even touched them.
Okay, well, real quick, did you guys watch that last one I sent in the chat?
Yeah, it's super fast, like a teaser, right?
Yeah, it's real short.
I didn't even get what the concept was, so I'm excited to hear what it is.
They don't spell it out. I found out, I was like, okay, well, it looks kind of interesting, looks a little basic. What we're talking about is the Tomorrow War, which is a Amazon original movie coming up. It's got Chris Pratt. I think that's kind of the big thing. It's just like, Chris Pratt, military stuff, but also sci-fi. Come watch it over here.
Remember Chris Pratt when he was Star-Lord and not political and not religious?
Wait, what? Is he those things?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's got some things that some people don't like. He's not canceled, but we're watching you, Chris Pratt.
Wait, really? Okay, I don't know. Everybody sucks.
Everybody's this close. Everybody's one bad day from being canceled.
One bad day.
It used to be one bad day from being a supervillain, which was kind of cool and dangerous. Now it's one bad day away from being canceled.
Yeah.
Which is way lamer, for sure. Chris Pratt married Arnie daughter, huh? Like Arnie, that's just her name, Arnie daughter.
And he was like, "Get to the chopper."
Okay, so the Tomorrow War, it's just a quick trailer. I don't have a lot to say. The trailer itself doesn't super wow me. It's like, it's vaguely sci-fi military stuff. Ooh, I'm sorry. I have no interest. Video games have ruined that on me. That is such a almost default setting for so many games that come out, and I'm just not interested. And just same with movies. Although the sci-fi in a movie, the sci-fi angle does intrigue me more. And in this case, what the trailer doesn't really tell you is it's basically like a group of soldiers show up on Earth and they're like, "Hey, we're from 30 years in the future, and aliens are gonna attack us, and we're gonna lose the war. So here we are.
Oh,
let's get ready." And that's the premise, right?
I didn't get that from the teaser at all, but
and I kind of love that premise.
Yeah, it's a great premise.
So that's why I was like, yeah, maybe we can mention that. I'm curious about it. What did you guys think?
Yeah. It does sound very Terminator-y, but also I'm cool with that. I mean, like, how many schools for superpowered people have we seen in movies? You know,
right.
I mean, only X-Men, Harry Potter, Academia, the anime one. Like, I mean, everything. Percy Jackson. Yeah.
You're right about the Terminator aspect. It is very. I think the difference is it sounds like in this case, it's not just like some stuff happening that nobody really knows about. It's just like, like there's the Terminator at any given time, like 2 or 3 people know any of that's happening. It sounds like they showed up and they're like, "Hey, world, here's the deal," and so it's kind of like people are aware of it. It's a movie, also. I almost feel like something like a premise like that, not knowing what the plot is, a premise like that could make for a good series. Even if I mean, it's the most boring aspect of it to explore, but it's kind of the most logical of like, some people believe them for some reason, some people don't. I'm sure they'll play a little bit of that into a movie, but it's a movie, so I'm assuming they have to move on. But
the thing that so they came from 30 years in the future when they lose, but to now, but how far is it in the future before the attack happens? Because it still seems like there's a lot of action stuff happening. So is it like we came back like the week before they come to let you know that you're gonna lose, or
right? It's like, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's a good question, because that's like, well, that sucks. I mean, could have shot for maybe a little earlier,
right?
Jesse, your shirt looks like it has a side ponytail.
Yeah, I had my hair over on the side, or I guess it was over on the side, and it looked like Jeff Hardy had a side pony just up here. It's pretty great. Yeah, no, it's Jeff Hardy.
The other trailer. I'm sorry, I have nothing. That reminds me, Dustin. I don't think you're watching, but if you're watching now or in the future, I haven't checked our Grolix messages, but hey, we're up for having you on sometime. Random thought.
Sparked by pro wrestling commentary, maybe.
Totally was. Dustin, the other guy that talks about wrestling that I have nothing to say about, but like Jesse, he also talks about lots of other things. So, Sweet Tooth, which was today or yesterday that trailer came out. Netflix series. Has anybody chat? Have you guys seen the trailer for Sweet Tooth? It's based on a comic book. It's based on a 40-issue Vertigo series written with art by Jeff Lemire. I never read it. I certainly remember, because it was coming out while I was still actively collecting comics on the regular. And I remember the covers constantly. Weird deer boy face.
Like sad deer boy face.
Right.
Because it's super gaunt in the comic series.
So I don't know anything about it. Watching the trailer, I was like, this looks really weird. But it's intriguing, because it doesn't look bad, but also like, I wouldn't have guessed, I don't know, to do that in live action just seems very strange to me, because it seems like there's like hybrid animal people that start being born, but they're not cool looking. They're more like fanciful. You know what I mean? It's very strange, but at the same time, it looks like a fun adventure, but it's also like kind of a post-apocalyptic type thing almost.
Yeah, I think the book is much more like tying into that whole thing, because everything looks like scary and sad a little bit. Aside from there being like a fawn.
Yeah, there's a little fawn boy. Yeah, Paul says looks weird. Hashtag still better than cats. And I mean, yeah, they don't look like horrifying. It doesn't look horrifying like cats. The makeup and the effects in the trailer look really good. Yeah. It's just such a weird property to pick and be like, yep, live action series. Let's do that.
Right.
What were you going to say, Melanie?
I was going to say it reminds me for some reason of, well, no, I know why. It reminds me of X-Men, just because it's like some weird mutation thing.
Right.
that happened. But then also there was like a virus too, so which probably is where it came from. But that and then that made me think maybe they'll start a school for all these little
there you go.
with their special animal powers.
Well, and we like Black Hammer. We like Jeff Lemire's stuff. So like, I mean, as long as they're true to the source material, true enough, this should be pretty great because he seems to be really good at this.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in it.
Yeah, I just had this is a visual medium. I should pull up a picture. That looks weird. That does not look great.
And it looks more like he's going to be a puppy.
Yeah,
not that he's going to be like this deer person.
But yeah, it's very strange. Very strange.
And that one in the woods is basically like their shot for shot of the cover.
Uh-huh.
Like that's their attempt at recreating the cover art somehow.
Yeah. Weird. How about?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So very strange. Wait, what's? Oh, I think Robert Downey Jr. is a producer or something on the series. That's why there's pictures there.
First he was Doolittle, now he's making Sweet Tooth movies.
Oh, I did not hear anything good about Doolittle.
No, I didn't
hopefully
either.
This turns out better. It looks, for me, the look of it, it doesn't look bad. Works against it a little bit, but like the tone of the trailer, I thought it was intriguing. Looks kind of cool.
Right.
Which one first? Jesse.
Yes.
So you've been watching some stuff.
I've been watching some stuff. Yeah.
Have you been watching some? Wait, never mind. I was gonna say, have you been watching some men? But that sounds weird.
Who watches those men?
Who watches the Watchmen? It's
Whoa.
Jesse.
I
Spoilers.
did. I find, yeah. So we're starting with the oldest thing that we could have all watched, and moving into the now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I finally finished the Watchmen, and believe the hype is, I guess, my review. Like it's great. It does start I don't know if it starts slow, not necessarily. I mean, it's pretty much off to the races, but it is kind of confusing at first. But man, the mystery, it's worth it. Like figuring out how all the threads come together to create this tapestry. Like this is smartly written, and it was super fun. Initial, like some thoughts without getting super duper spoilery, but like I really want to spoil stuff, but like that would ruin the reason to go watch it. I was surprised by how many characters are still around. And how far back they go. They go back to the Minutemen. They talk about them, which they were pivotal in the original comic book run. No, my dog just barked. But you did hear it through my mic. So the Hooded Justice. Yeah, I believe so. He was kind of a focal character in this series, and he was part of the group of heroes that inspired the group of heroes in the Watchmen comic that we followed. So I believe it's the Silk Spectre, the Owl, Rorschach, those characters, the comedian. Like the Minutemen were like almost like your JSA type of characters. The Watchmen, or whatever they were called, they were kind of like our Justice League. And now this is set after the fact, and I was pleasantly surprised how many of those characters were still around.
Right. At the same time, I was kind of blown away by at the beginning I was blown away by like, wow, this is like its own thing. This does not like
it really felt like its own thing.
It does at first, where it's like it's because it's this whole like story that has like, wait, what? It has like, not that it doesn't have anything to do with the story. It does. And again, in case we didn't clarify, we're talking about the HBO series from 2 years ago or something. But it's in the world, but it's otherwise doing its own story. but then as the season goes on, it ties more and more into the original characters. And then, yeah, at a certain point, I too was surprised at like how many of the original characters are relevant and show up. So, oh, interesting. So YouTube, we streamed to YouTube faster than Facebook. Weird. Anyway, what did you think about, maybe, I don't know, this seemed like one of the first shows that I think, the first modern shows where they're like, hey, yeah, no, this is like, it's a kind of contemporary comic book thing, but also it's about race. And so,
right,
in a way, it's kind of pioneering. I think this doing so well gave maybe other
things we're going to talk about later.
Right. Gave other,
like
yeah,
a little nudge in the right direction.
Yeah, we can address these social issues. You know.
And I mean, spoilers for that review, but the Watchmen nailed it.
Oh,
comparatively, you know, I mean, like, and that's not even throwing shade, because I'm happy that a bigwig like Disney would approach it at all. But same thing with Warner Brothers. Like, kudos for greenlighting this and being brave and telling a story that needs to be told.
I don't know, Jesse. Sounds like you're just virtue signaling.
No,
no. I thought it was a good story, and it was super surprising. And in a way, not that you can't do that. Oh, I never hit record on my external recorder. Oh well, looks like this. Well,
you were already having issues with that anyways, so it just made the decision for you. There you go.
Right.
You subconsciously were so frustrated with it, you were like, no.
Oh man,
I'm not even going to remember to do it.
That sucks. I need to get back in that habit. Okay, so that's okay. Sorry, podcast listeners. Better audio next week, maybe. So, I mean, at least with Watchmen, not that you can't listen. You can do it with any. You can make social commentary with any property, but Alan Moore's basing it on an Alan Moore property, kind of, in my opinion, yeah, like you should kind of do something like that if you're gonna do a work.
He's totally about poking the bear, you know.
Yeah, if you're gonna do a derivative work based on an Alan Moore thing, do it well, do it smartly, and yeah, don't shy away from social commentary, because that is an Alan Moore. That's kind of his deal sometimes. So
I'm really trying not to compare this with the next thing, but like, also this one dealt with race. I mean, because it did deal with race, obviously, but also like it didn't overtly be like, I don't know how to say it. Like, it wasn't overtly like a black man can never be Captain America. They never did that that I can recall.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, they did. They went back to Tulsa, though. I mean, like it was in there. It was in the DNA of the thing, but they never had to say it.
It was in a way much better. I mean, well, it's not a film, but much better filmmaking, much better visual storytelling. It showed, it didn't tell.
Right.
Whereas we're alluding to it. Captain Falcon. I'm not unhappy with what they did. Me either. Good on Marvel, but
yeah,
they were very tell don't show. Like it's all in just dialogue.
And they had less episodes. Well, not really. They had shorter episodes. Not even that. I don't know.
I feel like they had less. How many did Watchmen have? No, Watchmen had 9.
Watchmen had 9. So I guess they had one extra episode.
Yeah. But they also, no, Disney Plus, they can go as long as they want. Whatever. More content. There was definitely more content to Watchmen. Okay, 2 burning questions for you, Jesse, that stem from.
Okay. All right.
I remember, because Melanie and I watched this so long ago, there's a lot of details I kind of forgot, but there's 2 burning questions from our discussions that I want to know. First off,
are these spoilery? Should we warn the audience here?
No. Maybe, but not yet. First off,
Okay.
What Lube Man, whatever his name is, what's
Mm-hmm.
up with him? Where'd he go? Why don't we have a Lube Man spinoff series?
No kidding. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
You see him like once, maybe twice. He literally slips into a street drain, never seen again.
Uh-huh.
Right.
What's the deal? I want Lube Man.
I don't know. I don't know if I get that one.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a deep cut. I'm sure he was an Easter egg that I just didn't quite totally get. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he was awesome though.
The other one is slightly spoilery.
Okay.
So heads up. No, we're not full. It's a little spoilery. Mr. Although this could be asked of the original comic too. Dr. Manhattan?
Yep.
Good boyfriend? Bad boyfriend? What you think?
I mean, I think he's kind of like, he's a great boyfriend as long as he doesn't even know who he is.
Right.
Right.
But if he knows who he is, he's the worst. Like,
Yeah.
you can't even have a conversation with that guy. He's like, I don't experience time the same way you do. I
Mhm.
already know what you said. I'm talking to you from 5 years ago. You
Mhm.
said something funny. I'm talking to you from 30 years from now. By the way, I know you in 30 years.
Yeah.
I know when we're going to have a fight. We're going to have a fight now. No, we're not going to have a fight. We're going to have a fight. We're having a fight.
Yep.
That is the flaw with the character, and I think that's Alan Moore's point with the character. Like, the core of the character itself is like, he knows what's going to happen and still can't or won't, and I think that's the big thing. Can't or won't stop it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he knows a terrible thing's going to happen, but he won't stop it because
That is
it's
the most
already
confusing
happened.
part of maybe the whole thing is just like, what?
I don't even remember why, and I don't want to get into it, but that is the debate that sent shockwaves through Melanie and my relationship.
Oh, yeah.
We got into a real heated, almost argument over Dr. Manhattan, and I was like, what are we doing? What is this?
Right.
And we weren't even
But
like,
it
I think
does. It
we're-
does spark an interesting debate for sure.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of the character. He's so interesting. And what they did with him, ultimately, spoiler, it was a little disappointing, but overall how they handled him was interesting. They did interesting things with him,
Right.
and that's kind of the best thing you can do with any of the Watchmen characters. Just do
Right.
something interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't just whatever by the books.
Mm-hmm.
Dr.
Dong Hatton.
Well, and they have to go there too. I think early on, one of the most interesting things that they did with that was like, just, like there's different visuals of Manhattan throughout the whole thing because he's essentially like a god, and so he's like in street graffiti. He's a puppet. He's all sorts of things. And on one of the street graffitis, of course, they have to do what street graffiti artists will do.
Mm-hmm.
And that is add
Mickey Mouse ears.
Remember.
Oh.
Yeah. Even when there wasn't one. So.
Okay. Well, unless you had anything else, we can move on.
Just to put a bow on it. Man, believe the hype. It's great. It's a really compelling television series. And I see why everybody wants more. I don't need more, especially the way they ended it. I kind of love how they ended it. And it doesn't feel like a cliffhanger to me. It feels like, the world continues.
Yeah, the ending was disappointing in only in that it's like, oh, yeah, that doesn't seem like they're going to come up. That seems like they could, but they probably won't come back for more.
Right.
And it was so good. Yeah, I agree. I wanted more, but I kind of think more, but drop that direct storyline. Don't go back to that.
Oh yeah, go to a different part of the
Explore
world
more
or
of
something.
the other characters.
Sure.
Yeah.
Lube Man. Waiting for Lube Man.
Yeah. Whatever happened to the owl? Come on.
The problem is, like, this one kind of touches on.
You never called her back?
Right. It kind of touches on so many of the original characters that you would. I don't know. It'd be hard to just drop the main storyline from this if you were to keep doing more, because it would put you further from the central Watchmen characters.
Right.
Which could be okay. Hashtag release the lube man. That's it.
Justice for lube man.
Superb owl.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, since we already kind of started talking about it, we mentioned Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is a comment Paul made during that last discussion. He said, I think the quote, no black Captain America was Disney's clapback to the angry white guys that were livid Sam was going to be Cap. Disney was like, you don't want it? Tough. I mean...
So like in the comics, there's a moment where Bucky becomes Cap before Sam becomes Cap kind of thing. But also in that universe, like Cap wasn't even alive to hand off the shield. Like Bucky just took up the mantle because Cap was dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that there's a contingent of fanboys out there that just can't handle the fact that the MCU has always been different.
Right.
Always.
Right.
Like from Iron Man 1, they've taken liberties. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten in this fight more than a few times.
It's interesting. Like, I am not on social media that much anymore. So I don't know what kind, like in relation to the show, I don't know if there's outrage, what the outrage is. I'm sure there is. I seen something about team, what's his name? The new, he was Captain America for a moment in the show.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember, but anyway,
John Walker. Yeah.
Team Walker.
People are like, people are trying to, like, I don't know, say he's okay or that he's sympathetic. It's like, yeah, he's sympathetic. He's not a good guy.
Right.
Not a great guy in this. Like, he'll become redeemed if you get more of him, but like, he was never supposed to be your favorite in this.
And they even already kind of set that up of like, he's kind of okay. By the end of this, whatever, he helps.
I don't think I'll ever trust anyone with a chin like that. I'm sorry.
he did, like, that's the thing. You can't be surprised or shocked by it because, he has a villainous profile, or his.
And that's why Kurt Russell always has a beard.
Right.
That's probably why Wyatt Russell usually has a beard. It's like, if I don't have a beard, I'm going to be a bad guy in everything.
Yep.
Paul says there was a huge uproar when Sam received the shield at the end of Endgame. Ooh.
Spoilers.
It's so funny though, because like, first off, what a dumb thing to get mad about, because sorry, you're on the wrong side of, I don't know, anything decent, I guess. But also, like, we're talking about Marvel movies or comics.
Right.
There are a lot. It's just that thing of like,
so
really?
Different.
This is the thing you want to like put your rage at, like in a world where there's so much legit horrible stuff going on to get upset about that. No, it's fine. It's fine. You get mad because comics aren't as racist as you. It's fine.
Right. Well, it's like the people who went to Age of Ultron and they were like, should I read Age of Ultron first? I'm like, God, no. That story has nothing to do with the movie you're going to see. Nothing.
In hindsight, you could skip the movie.
I mean, you kind of could. I swear, yeah.
Well,
it would. I mean, like everything that's
you'd
been
be very
set up.
confused.
Yeah.
Whatever.
WandaVision would have made no sense.
Right. You know what? I guess they have to do that once in a while. Like,
yeah. It's too bad it was an Avengers movie they had to use.
Right, man. Do it in a pre-Ragnarok Thor or something. Come on.
Right.
Nobody cares about those movies anyway.
Right. Isn't that what Dark World was? Like, well, we're getting you ready for Infinity War.
Yeah. Okay. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I kind of thought, like, at one point I was like, wait, there's one more episode, right? After the penultimate episode. And then I was like, I had heard that it was over, and I was like, wait, no. Oh, was that the last episode? I mean, it did feel like a final episode. And then it got closer to whatever the air date of this one, and it's like, no, oh, okay, never mind. So it's interesting because they kind of used, was it just a 6-episode series? 6, 7, 6? I don't know.
Was it 8? Was
8?
Or so? Maybe it was only 6. You might be right.
I don't know, but they used
that would make more sense.
They kind of used the second to last episode to wrap up some of like the more interpersonal plots, I guess, or arcs. Falcon and his family, and kind of Bucky and Falcon. And then they used the last episode to kind of wrap up plot threads. So it's just kind of interesting. It was a very like split. Mm-hmm. We're gonna split these things up. And
it was weird. Like they had this huge character development episode. It felt like those 2 episodes were actually like half. Like this is the setup for this. If this were a movie, this would be like the 3rd act. These 2 episodes are the 3rd act.
Right, and I almost feel like I guess maybe it's smarter to do it this way, but I almost feel like they did do some things in the second to last episode that set up. I think that's when they handled a lot of the like Black Captain America, like no self-respecting black man would take the mantle or whatever type thing. I think they set that up in the second to last episode. So that bit aside, tonally, I feel like traditionally the second to last would be the final stuff, because it's a lot of the like sitting around, fixing the boat, having kind of fun, like relaxing. The come down after the climax or whatever, the whatever you would call it. But I thought it was fine. It was the action. It was mostly an action episode, and in that respect, it was kind of blah for me. It was just because it wasn't. It was fine. It was dark though, and it wasn't like super. In terms of like the visually, it was very dark, and it just wasn't a lot of like super memorable stuff. There's flying around helicopter stuff. I remember that.
Right. Yeah. It was like a hour-long action sequence. Paul mentions in the comments, and that's like a interesting thing to talk about in that second to last episode, which is, kind of what we all saw coming, and it makes sense within the context of what they've been setting up. It was like you could kind of see that this was unfortunately the way it was going to go down. He was Captain America, and because of your exemplary record in the past, even though you killed someone on camera, you caused an international incident viciously. You decapitated somebody with a shield, dude. We're going to discharge you, but you're not going to prison or anything. Like nothing.
Well, that's very reflective of America, though. They're like, well, he was doing his job, but your job isn't to murder someone who's already incapacitated. Yet people do that kind of a lot here. I mean,
it's like kind of like it makes you wonder when they shot this, because like, wow.
Well, and real quick I think it's obvious by context now, but Paul was saying he didn't get a vent about last week since he missed last week. The slap on the wrist the government official got for viciously murdering someone, and I mean, I'm sure that was not an accidental counter plot line to what's his name, the older guy that Falcon goes and talks to,
Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not an accidental counter plot to Isaiah, like just an intentional juxtaposition of like, that's what happens when a black guy got super soldier serum, didn't even do anything wrong, but still things went badly for him.
Right.
Versus, whatever, the new Cap who murdered someone on camera.
I think the most interesting thing about that, though, is in this second, or the actual last episode. I keep wanting to call it the second last because I did think the first one was the last one of the two. But he's going to, as Jesse said, possibly redeem himself. So they're not only gonna let him get away with it, they're gonna make him a good guy again. So that, in my opinion,
show is gonna let him get away with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying,
And that's where it's like, good on Marvel for making the comment, but also like, it's still Disney. Like they're not gonna. It's still a huge product, and they're gonna not.
It's
really
maybe
try to make people super angry, even if
I was gonna say maybe it's even more indicative of America than we thought.
But by the way, hey Josh, what's going on? Josh says I hear reshoots and recuts due to COVID kind of screwed that last episode. You know what? That actually would make kind of sense in terms of like, I had heard something about there was a virus plot line that they had at one point that they dropped. I don't know if that's rumor, but yeah, I heard there were things aside from just even like reshoots and the fact that I think the series are not coming out in the order they had originally planned, like WandaVision, Loki, all this, they had to shuffle those a little bit. For example, what's her name? Julia Louis-Dreyfus shows up as a character that she originally
Contessa.
She which apparently was supposed to be introduced in Black Widow, I think, which was supposed to be out last summer.
Right.
So I think it still works as a introduction here, but it's also like a little weird. Like maybe there would be more weight, or her character would make a little bit more sense. Okay, yeah, he says Val is in Black Widow. So that makes a little bit more sense for
it also like twists one of my chief complaints, which is if there were all these storylines that got cut from what we actually saw, it may have changed how I saw the Flag Smashers, because like the Flag Smashers almost deserved an episode like that second to last episode. Like we got a whole episode of everyone kind of feeling their feelings. We needed that for the Flag Smashers,
right?
Like back before everybody came back from the blip. Like we needed context for what they were doing. All they did was tell us what their context was. If we had seen them living it and then seen how they were impacted when everybody came back, we would have cared when a whole bunch of them, spoilers, when a whole bunch of them just get blowed up.
I remember.
I was going to say that I think was part of the reason I was surprised there was another episode, besides the fact that I thought that second to the last one kind of felt like an end, because they did end all that, and they hadn't really explained it much to me, and I thought that was something that they would use for another season if they ended up with another season.
Paul says the Flag Smashers needed, but I hate that title, by the way. It's such a bad. Anyway, the Flag Smashers needed an episode like the Outside the Hex episode of WandaVision.
Exactly.
It's like, and I think digital series kind of shy away because Netflix, some of the earlier Netflix originals did it so much. Netflix original series, where you hit episode 7, and episode 7 is like a backstory, or we're going to jump back and do this, or we're going to follow one character. Like it's always something different. But I feel like this could have used a whole episode, like you're saying, or at least a part of an episode, something to give them more weight. And also maybe that is where a lot of the reshoots and the cuts, like where it suffered, because I remember our discussions of the first couple episodes on the show. We were very confused as to like, the Flag Smashers are introduced as a terrorist group, and I realize that's kind of like the thing, though. Like, they're terrorists, but also, like, but here's their side. But I felt like Falcon jumped to their side way quicker than what felt warranted, and it felt like the show there was something missing. It's like, yeah, but are we supposed to be on their side? Like, or are we supposed to be sympathetic to them? Because I don't feel like it had justified it before the show decided, hey, you should be sympathetic to these people, kind of.
Right. And they had they had compelling philosophies, and they had like there was something about them that was compelling. Like what is the world like because of the blip? Like we saw a little bit of that in Spider-Man Far From Home, but they just kind of played it for laughs. They were just like, look, these guys are 5 years ahead of everybody else, and these guys aren't. They didn't age a day. Like, hey, here's a basketball game that's happening, and they'll just blip right back in. See, it's funny. But this was like, the world sucks because of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the world kind of sucks anyway, but no, it seemed very separated, the experience, I mean, for the people both returning and returned, depending on their status and wealth. Like, if you were gone and you were poor and you came back, you had nothing and nobody would give you credit and help you out. If you were rich and you came back, then they were like, oh yeah, we'll kick these poor people out of here so that you can have all your stuff back. You know?
Which was kind of their point. But yeah, I wish that would have been explored more, because that's actually kind of interesting. Right. The most we really got to see during the blip was the beginning of, was it Endgame, where like there's trash everywhere and people are bummed out. But that's all you really got to see, a series would be a good place to actually kind of explore that time. And maybe that's part of it, though. Maybe that's some of that stuff is just like the stuff they cut. Like if there was some type of virus storyline, I totally get why Disney'd be like, yeah, let's axe that. But what else went along with that?
Well, here's an free idea for you, Disney. Have one series amongst these smaller series that you're doing that's no superheroes, and it's just regular people experiencing the blip and its after effects.
Just Jimmy Woo. Just Jimmy Woo.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometime between Ant-Man and WandaVision, he learned that card trick.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how. That's kind of what you do, don't you?
Yeah.
That's every prequel's job. It's like, hey, Han Solo's gun? This is where he got it, and his jacket. And his name, like, come on, that's what you do. So,
and while you're doing that, you can give us a reason to care about Lamar, because John Walker was a horrible friend and didn't give us any reason to care about Lamar.
Right. Yeah. No, this one in general, it did feel a little. The series, it felt a little rushed, but again, if they had to cut a bunch of stuff, I guess it didn't necessarily feel jumbled. Just like, there could have been more, but then again, it was also kind of short and sweet as far as I'm concerned, because I think it was clear with our non-review of, I don't know, whichever episode that everybody went crazy about was Zemo dancing in, that we Melanie and I anyway
episode,
we weren't super feeling it. So
yeah.
Loki looks crazy. Is that the next one?
Yeah.
The
other thing we should probably talk about, or maybe we could just leave it alone because it's not great, but the after credit scene, and the thing that we all probably saw coming. I don't know. They made it super obvious in the second to last episode when Sharon Carter gets a call from Batroc the Leaper, and then lo and behold, he shows up at the Flag Smashers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, gee, who sent him there?
Right. Are we wait. So which bit are you talking about? Because I think some of that is
the power broker.
Oh, the power broker, yes. And Paul had said that Paul said, and he was right, he had called it.
Well, I mean, it's not like they kept it. That could have been a great reveal. It was an awful reveal. It was so obvious by the time we got there.
Yeah.
So, also, I'm not sure that I'm sold on it. Like, I don't know. They're kind of wishy-washy with her character, and it's lending credence to this idea that maybe she's not even Sharon, that maybe she's a Skrull. And at this point, I'd probably be okay with that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I don't. This is just such a weird part of the whatever. It's the Captain America side of things, right? It's just
right.
it's the more like agency. It's the Not even. It doesn't even get into the Marvel agencies. It's the government. It's more like the government side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that is almost less interesting to me than the fake agency government side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Right. Let's go to space, man. Let's go to space. Give me some.
That's got to be coming, right? I mean, come on.
Loki looks weird. I don't know what that's gonna be. I know there was another trailer. We probably could have talked about it, but I haven't watched it. I've just watched that first kind of longish one they released a while back.
Did you see the Captain Marvel 2 teaser?
No, I didn't.
Well, I mean, it's basically just a teaser, but they're kind of like, they're basically saying that Monica Rambeau will be Captain Marvel 2.
Oh, yeah?
Oh.
You know, I mean, she is in the comics anyways, but like, so I don't know what that means.
That means that everybody was like, what's that chick's name? That Brie lady.
Brie Larson.
Yeah. Everybody's like, nobody likes her, get rid of her. And they were like, okay. That's
Unless it was a fan trailer, but I was pretty sure it was real. Just a teaser, and it was all about Monica.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that would be maybe smart on their part, but this is basing it entirely on me because I don't know how the rest of the world really feels. But I didn't care for Brie Larson at all.
I thought she was fine, but also I don't know that I wanted a whole nother solo movie of her. Not without Nick Fury. Like Nick Fury and her, like that dynamic is what made that movie even remotely interesting. Because Samuel L. Jackson can sell me on anything. So
yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking up I'm looking up the trailer now.
Oh yeah.
Did you know
it's not even real?
It's Disney though. I can't play it. I'm sorry. I'd play it on the stream, but
all right. It is Disney. Then it is real.
Well, I mean, if. Oh yeah, no. Well, I'm seeing. Okay. No, I mean this is on Screen Culture YouTube channel, and it's a lot of footage we've already seen.
Yeah, that's all it was. But it was all recut together to be like, hey, Captain Marvel 2.
Is this? Well, I'm trying to. Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to see. Yeah, this looks. I think this is fan made.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah, I was just trying to see.
But I'd be there for it. I'd be there for it. Think about it.
I mean,
think about it, Marvel. I'd see that movie.
Overall, though, Falcon and Winter Soldier wasn't bad. I did appreciate the social commentary. Like they didn't shy away from addressing it. Not as good as Watchmen because they were tell don't show, but it's just surprising because with these big properties, and of course they can do some risks on a TV show, and it's not like being anti-racism is a bold stance, okay? But and if anything, it's almost more sad that I'm impressed that a big company would be like, yeah, we're anti-racism. That's a sad statement in itself, but good on them for at least taking some stance.
Yeah, but I mean, of all companies, Disney should, be the one to do that because given its history, I'm just saying.
Right.
They need to survive.
I wonder if they ever paid that author or, all those authors. Probably not. Okay, so... Well, I think I'm going to banter here for a moment because Jesse looks occupied, so I don't want to get to the feature topic just yet. Hey, Melanie, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Doing all right. Oh yeah, it's just me.
And you?
And you?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I mean, visually.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I got the spotlight. What have I been doing? Hey, hold on. There's got to be something we watched, right?
Yeah, we watched that Palm Springs movie.
Right. Let's talk about that for a moment while Jesse's gone.
Okay.
Palm Springs. It's I believe it was a Hulu movie. At least it's on Hulu.
Yeah.
Savannah says, "Ha ha ha! This banter is awkward." Well, it's getting better. Okay,
Right.
it's only awkward because I was not prepared for it at all. It's like, wait, I don't have anything else on my list of things to talk about. But yeah, no, Melanie, you're right. Palm Springs. It's something I had heard of. It came out a while ago. It's from what, 2020? I guess it came out last year. And it's a Groundhog's Day type premise. So as I never thought anything of it. Yeah, with the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, who Randy doesn't seem to care for, which is probably another part of the reason we hadn't ever watched it or whatever.
Just because, like, him on his own, I mean, I've never seen him in anything that I particularly cared that much for. I know he's done lots of stuff that people love, but none of it's really whatever. However, we had heard, maybe it was it a trailer or on Hulu, Melanie? I feel like it was a trailer or something that pointed out that it had like
90. Oh wait, go ahead.
I think it said 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I was like, wait, that movie has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and we looked it up, and it's like 96 or something, so it'd come down since whatever they made that promo. But I was like, wait, how does this have like almost 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? It looks like a dumb comedy that just is stealing the Groundhog's Day plot. So we watched it, just kind of like, well, let's see what it is. Let's see if you're so great type thing. It's kind of great.
It is great. Yeah,
I
it's
kind of
funny.
loved it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
It is the Groundhog's Day plot, which is not, listen, Groundhog's Day isn't the first movie to do it, or the first story to do that, but it's, it's probably the best, or the greatest, or at least the most well-known. But it does it well. It does very surprising things with it. The first being that you start the movie and he's already been in the loop for who knows how long. And that's a slight spoiler, but that's literally like you find that out right away. So I was kind of like, wait, what? He's already in the loop? Like, what? It's legitimately funny. And also the drama and the emotional stuff is pretty good, I thought. It's pretty good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked it. I was glad that Randall liked it because he would be more reluctant to watch it than I would. But I have seen Brooklyn 99, or at least some of it, and I enjoyed that. So, and we never really watch romantic comedies. It's very, very rare. But we're not romantic comedy type people. And this was totally the kind of romantic comedy that we would enjoy. Where all the characters like, there is no meaning. Everyone's alone.
That's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's like a romantic comedy, but also like our main characters are nihilists and super downers. And so I appreciated them. I was like, yeah, I like you guys. You guys are great. I like your attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't know what else to say. If you haven't watched it, or if you don't think it's, I don't know. Because again, it seems derivative with a comedy guy that I'm not really into. And it's got a romantic comedy, which in general I'm not into. Yeah, but no, it was great. I give it 4 stars. It didn't get 5, but 4 stars.
Ooh, 4 stars is kind of a coveted review.
Right.
Yeah.
Some really good movies that you've given 3.5.
Right. It's better than those. Just don't mention whatever they are.
Okay.
Paul sent me an article. We're not going to do news, but we'll do this news real quick. Citizen Kane lost its perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes, making Paddington 2 the new greatest film of all time. So I had heard a little something about this. Basically, they dug up a negative review. So of the 116 reviews for Citizen Kane on the critical, or on the web, on Rotten Tomatoes, which previously there were 115, all positive. There's one has been added that was published 80 years ago in the Chicago Tribune that was negative, and that knocked it down enough to lose its 100%. So apparently Paddington 2, I have never watched Paddington 2.
Watch Paddington 1.
Well, we better watch it. It's the best movie.
Oh, I guess so, yeah. I don't know that I've seen all of Citizen Kane, so...
Yeah.
Melanie has.
I have. It was because we were gonna watch a movie about the movie, so I had to watch the movie first, and then we never ended up watching the other movie. But you know, I don't know. I mean, it was all right, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best movie ever. Yeah.
Well, that's not even an unpopular opinion, because Josh Kerp, who wrote this Uprocks article, says Paddington 2 is a better film than Citizen Kane. Already knew this, but now it's official. So, you know, whatever. I think a lot of people are of that opinion. It's like, I agree. I actually kind of disliked Citizen Kane for a long time after I first seen it. And it's on that rewatch that Melanie and I did not long ago that I was like, okay, I like it more. Mm-hmm. It's not a perfect movie though. Like it's visually, it's kind of amazing for its time. But even that, like, it was pioneering, but it's not like any of the certain techniques were pioneering. It's just like putting them all together and dedicating, like, this is going to be a stylistic movie in itself was a pioneering thing. So,
yeah.
That said, the characters are not likable in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So. Unlike Paddington, who is infinitely likable.
And that is, Savannah says, what is Paddington? And I'm not sure, because I've never seen either of the movies either. Is that Paddington Bear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Paddington Bear.
And I'll do you one better. Why is Paddington?
Oh, I have my window open. I'm sorry.
Don't know.
I'm probably letting noise in. Oh, well. So long as the fire station alarm doesn't go off. No, I love you, Twitch. Oh, Twitch, you know, thanks for your contribution to the chat.
Yes.
I'm good with my current fame level. I do not need to buy followers and viewers on ****. I'm not going to say that URL. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to say the name, you're going to have to be an actual sponsor. Actually,
right.
Pay us.
Okay.
We can be bought. $1 a month, patreon.com.
Hey, good call. Become a sponsor. You bonus episodes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, let's get to... Oh, now Melanie's gone. Oh, let's banter.
What did you and I see?
We need to, you know what? We need to do that to just like blow Melanie's mind sometime. Be like, well, Jesse and I watched.
Right.
Not that we don't do that sometimes. There's stuff we talk about that, like anytime we talked about Cobra Kai for the most part, but no, like, so when Jesse was over,
right. Have there been new episodes of Invincible that have been dropped? Like,
yes, but I have not watched them because I have to jump through extra hoops to watch them.
Yes.
So I haven't watched them yet.
Audio listeners, you can see the really awesome, like, subtlety.
It's
the
subtle,
facial
so
expression.
subtle.
Yeah.
Have you checked them out at all?
I haven't yet. I just wondered because all I'd heard was basically that first episode, the big like pow at the end there or whatever.
Right.
Basically what you guys had talked about the last time we talked about it. So I wondered if there was new stuff out.
Savannah, yeah, I don't know. I've been having, so we were using Savannah's account, and yeah, okay, well, I'll have to try again. I've been having lots of trouble trying to get in there. Clearly I don't have an Amazon Prime subscription at this time because I got plenty of other subscriptions. I don't need it, but okay, so Melanie.
Yeah.
Let's fight.
Okay.
Oh.
Mortal Kombat style.
Okay.
Oh.
Let's talk about Mortal Kombat. It only took us an hour to get here, so let's do it.
Right.
First off, chat, have you guys seen Mortal Kombat? Spoilers, I guess, potentially. There's stuff you could spoil, but like I don't know. Okay,
it's a movie about fighting. They're gonna fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they fight. Okay, God, I don't know even where to start. I did not hate this movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I don't think it's a good movie.
It's not.
It's far from the worst Mortal Kombat movie, though. I mean,
Right.
Annihilation. Listen, all you have to do is do better than Annihilation, which is the lowest possible bar.
Right.
And it did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure this is better than the first one. I think the first one may have a little more coherent package. I don't know.
Yeah, in a way, like honestly, though, in terms of violence aside, or lack of violence aside, I should say, for the original movie represents the game more appropriately. Even though this takes more from the game, more like plucks more characters, it does. There's so many. My main complaints are like the weird changes, and a lot of it doesn't make sense, and some of it. Paul says, I completely disagree. As a movie, it is a good movie. Well, okay, as entertaining, it's good. As a good, well-crafted story.
Yeah, if we're going to talk about plot, then we were going to start. Yeah, if you're trying to make the salt level rise, that'll do it. I will agree that this was a fun movie to watch.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is all I will say in that column. Now, as far as how it is written, you pluck that script down and you outline that sucker before you say it's good, because it's not.
Yeah.
Melanie,
right.
I'm curious as to your take on it, because thinking back on it, and I'm talking for a moment, but trust me, I'm framing this up to hand over to you. And I lost track of thought in saying that stupid stuff right now. Okay, so I was thinking about it, and I was like, to someone who's not familiar with the games, it does just randomly grab characters, put them in there, and give them virtually no explanation. So I feel like, as somebody who's not familiar with the games, and it plucks a few kind of like, not obscure, there aren't a lot of obscure Mortal Kombat characters. There's a lot of characters, but it plucks characters that I didn't expect from later games.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't give them much, like Shang Tsung, like you kind of get the idea of like who he is, but like really you don't. It doesn't really give a lot of explanation about a lot of that stuff, and it's super sloppy about its exposition in general.
Mm-hmm.
That said, it also though works harder than it should at trying to justify the more video gamey aspects of it with the superpowers. So, as someone who's not that familiar with the games, how did this movie strike you?
I not only did not play, I have played the games, but like I'd go to a friend's boyfriend's house and play for a minute, and everybody hated me because I'm a button masher. And that's it. I didn't watch any of the movies. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't bad. There was a lot that I was like, what? Why? Huh? Like, what? And I know this is a minor, not important at all. Why was that guy all like, isn't she beautiful? About that one like flying chick that we saw twice. That whole thing was weird. I didn't understand that. And yeah, there was just stuff that didn't really make a lot of sense to me. And there were things I know that Randy got hung up on, the differences with technology versus magic. But again, I didn't really know there was a difference. So it didn't bug me that much. It was okay. I would say it's not a good movie, but it's going into it, I knew it was supposed to be an action movie based on a video game. So I really wasn't expecting a whole lot.
Right.
Yeah, and my whole thing with the technology. Okay, so because I didn't mind the Arcana or whatever they called it. Basically, they turned people. If you're chosen, like that whole thing is not a video game construct. The whole like mark.
Oh, really?
That that's not in the games. That is only set up to explain why some people can shoot fireballs, which seems when you're gonna just randomly introduce characters and not like tell the audience anything about them, it seems like an arbitrarily weird point to be like, yeah, but we have to explain why he can shoot fireballs.
They do though, because if it's just, these are the chosen people, but there are humans that can shoot fireballs for no reason, because he's a human. We're fighting for the human realm, and he can shoot fireballs. If you're not explaining that to me, then I'm like, okay, so why is this guy able to shoot fireballs? Why is he magic? Then why is he here?
Okay, well,
yeah,
I guess
I agree. I that makes sense to me.
No, yeah, I don't know. It seems like such a, we have to throw this in there to sell the movie to the studio. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but most of the people, Liu Kang aside, Kung Lao aside, most of the people, the humans that, like, the plot revolves around them getting powers in the games don't necessarily have superpowers. Kano doesn't have a laser eye. He has a metal, like, plate with a fake eye that can shoot a laser beam because it's technology. Right. Jax doesn't get metal arms and then uses magic to grow bigger metal arms. He just gets metal bionic arms. Like, Sonya doesn't suddenly get ring powers. She has wrist things that she can use to shoot ring plasma things. It's just weird to, like, I didn't hate it. It didn't kill it for me, but it was so strange to be like, we have to explain this through magic, including the stuff that could have been easily explained through technology. Like, if you're hung up on, like, the fireball thing, then why ditch the technology side altogether? That seems like such a much easier way to explain it. And part of me is like, well, maybe part of the selling point is like, well, superheroes, we're just gonna make them superpowered. So, like, it's like a superhero movie now. So can we make this movie?
If you go with Arcana, you can explain everyone.
And it's just weird that they have to. It's weird that they have to, though. Like, you don't have to do that with everybody. Whatever.
Well, but if you get, say you're one of the birthmark selected, and you don't get a power, then you're like, what? I got to go cut off my arm or gouge out my eyeball so that I can get a superpower. I mean, just trying to be nice to everybody. But then again, those three were the ones that only got their mark for murdering other people, so maybe that's okay. Like, if you murder somebody, then you have to sacrifice a limb if you want a superpower, okay?
Jax's bewilders me, though. Like, even
he had his mark before Sonya. My issues with Sonya, like, he had his mark before Sonya did. Like, we took the only bad A heroine character, and who's legit in charge. She's in charge.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have the mark.
There was a certain point which it's the, like, nobody picked me at recess
She's
scene.
Got to earn it. No one's like, going to hand it to the girl character.
What's she doing here? She doesn't have the mark. And she's like, oh. And Charlie Brown music plays. And I looked at Melanie. I was like, it's because she's a woman, right? It's like, it seems so weird. It's like such a weird decision.
But I kind of love that aspect of it a little bit too, because it did kind of point out that, like, she, like that, earlier in the game, in the show, she could have killed, what's his butt, Australian guy. Kano. But she didn't. And she is fighting against these people, and not only is she, like, doing okay, sometimes she's actually hurting them or killing them. So it's not necessarily like the mark makes you a great warrior. She is a great warrior, possibly a better warrior than any of them. But again, they're being exclusive. She doesn't have the mark. She can't do it, even though she can fight better than any of these new people we brought in. She can't shoot laser beams out of her wrist, so she's not part of it.
I'm gonna call Paul out for being contrarian and just trying to get my dander up in the comments, but I don't have beef because it's different than the source material. I think I'm fine with that, because some of the stuff I really liked about this is that it approached it differently than other things. I like that that Liu Kang is not our main character. In fact, it kind of feels like, even though he's more of a presence than Kung Lao, Liu Kang is like Kung Lao's side piece. He's like just a tag along with Kung Lao. He's Kung Lao's like fanboy, orphan puppy, friend, cousin, whatever they are. And that's so weird. At the same time, I'm not wild about the casting. I think that guy's a little too pretty. He felt like a Kung Lao, or like a Liu Kang cosplayer or something. He just didn't have the face for it for me. I don't know why. But it's weird to like sideline Liu Kang so hard in a Mortal Kombat thing.
He's a coach. Let's get him ready, coach.
I also did appreciate the change in that they kind of end up making them a rivalry, which is fun. But elements of what they did change felt like intentional trolling. But Sonya and Kano in the game, like, Kano's the reason Sonya's even there, because he's a wanted criminal mercenary that she is tracking. She's not tracking the Mortal Kombat tournament. She's tracking Kano, and they're like the arch enemies. And I like that instead of that, they're just like, she's got him, but it's for this reason, and he's kind of a bad dude. But also, like, they're also kind of gonna be they're gonna team up now, and like go.
They're kind of frenemies at first, yeah.
Sonya, Cole aside, the non-game character, or I guess the viewer surrogate, since he doesn't really know what's going on.
He's the doctor's companion.
Yes.
He's there to ask questions.
Kano and Sonya are our team. Like, that's who we travel to the tournament with, or to where the tournament is supposed to. The tournament never actually happens, guys. Spoilers. But
yeah,
it does.
It's just going to talk about it. We're 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 not going to do it. But
I loved teaming those two up. And Cole was there too. And that's kind of Cole through the movie, though. So I like that change. They do then turn on its head later. They're like, okay, well, we got to have them fight, though, right? And then the way in which that plays out. Jesse, did you love it or did you hate it?
It was both, because my favorite character in this whole thing is Kano, because Kano has the best digs. He's got the best, like, everything. And then the end that he comes to. Oh, I was Team Kano for his, but until he died, like, he was like, what, those gnomes? They're creepy.
I thought of you when that happened too.
Yeah,
it's so funny because Melanie even said something. Oh, is she gonna break his neck with her legs? Because isn't that what she does in the original movie? And they had him fight. So I was like, oh, maybe. I mean, maybe a little homage to the original movie. And instead, they just it's not a reference to the game as far as I know. But it is the most random kill.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's so weird. So I feel like that's almost
I feel it is validating. I'm like, I've been telling you guys for years how dangerous gnomes are. Been telling you for years. Probably one of my favorite moments of the whole thing, like the fact that it's referential to the game, is the meta stuff is so funny. Like when they're training Kano, and he just does the circle sweep like over and over and over, and I like, that's good. See, that's good. Whoever thought of that was a genius.
See, and okay, this is again, this is why I'm very curious as to how it comes across to people who aren't fans. They'll randomly just say like fatality, or which the original movie did too. But they'll just say these things.
Kano wins.
Yeah, right, and it's like, that's so stupid, but it's fun. It's fun, and it works just because it's so stupid and fun. And I think that's the thing. It's like, yeah, no, the movie's dumb, and that's why I say it's not necessarily good. The plot is what, but it's a lot of fun. Paul says Buzzsaw kill was amazing. Yeah, we got a straight up game accurate Kung Lao fatality, and that was pretty amazing. I lost what I was going to say. Who else has got something about this?
Okay, so one of my main criticisms is that cold open. And I love that cold open. The whole Sub-Zero Scorpion thing. Like, it feels like it should be a different movie almost. Like that whole thing should just be, other than the fact that it is the only thing that ties the new guy into the whole thing. You could have made the whole Scorpion Sub-Zero thing its own thing. Like it could have been Mortal Kombat Scorpion, or
they know. I almost feel like that. And so last week, I think it was, or the week before, was it last week? Oh, that kind of sucks if that didn't go up on the podcast feed. But I talked about the Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, or whatever it was, animated thing that they came out with last year. Elements of that feel like they're like, let's make this. We'll show this to the studio and be like, here is what Mortal Kombat could be, because it opens. It plays out. It's a little bit different, and we actually get to follow Scorpion's spawn journey more. But it opens the same way. It follows Scorpion and the massacre and all that. Excuse me. And he's kind of, Scorpion is more of a main character in that. But again, and it was kind of a criticism I had of like that plot kind of gets dropped or is so totally sidelined in that. Whereas in this, it's there, but Scorpion, spoilers, is otherwise non-existent till the end. I mean, the fact that he existed and his lineage and all that is ties into the plot. But yeah, it's another thing of like, I feel like they didn't know how to. They're like, yeah, but he's dead. So what do we do with him? And it's like, well, he can come back through his ancestors' blood on this knife or something. It's like, you don't need that, though. The game doesn't need that. You don't need that. I mean, Sub-Zero's still alive. It's the same guy from hundreds of years prior. You don't need this weird extraneous, like, extra thing to bring Scorpion back to. But it's fine. If that was the case, then they could have, just give us a whole Scorpion Sub-Zero movie.
Maybe Sub-Zero's cold preserves him, and that's why he lives for so long.
He's his own cryogenics.
Yeah.
I feel like this version of Outworld also is very weird.
We didn't get much of it at all.
It's all we see is desert, and to be fair, when we're on Earth, after a certain point, all we see is desert. It felt like a big budget cheap movie or a cheap big budget movie. Like the effects were great. The costumes looked pretty decent. We're in like 3 settings the whole movie almost until it decides to just literally zap from fight to fight.
And I think one of them is
locations so you can spend money on effects.
Yeah.
Right.
Because a trailer park is actually one of your locations. Yeah. You're saving money.
That's a good point. Yeah, I feel like it is definitely a modestly budgeted movie, maybe. I can't say for sure. Paul agrees they skimped on locations. Oh, also he thought Cole was going to become Scorpion. Me too, and I was actually kind of worried about that.
Second, yeah.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
I thought the way they went about his whole thing though was weird. Like, he kept having. I guess they're not flashbacks because it's not him, but seeing the shovel or whatever that thing is,
the trowel,
the trowel,
the trowel.
Scorpion spear is a trowel.
Yeah, with the little rope on it, and then the rope becomes the layers of his suit or something. I don't know. That whole thing was weird and I think kind of unnecessary, but. Whatever.
Yeah, anytime you have to like tie in elements to the plot through characters having a reoccurring dream or a dream, Justice League, Batman v Superman, it's lazy.
Yeah,
it feels lazy to me.
What about okay, so like we get him as he's our tour guide into this movie game show. Is he a character that you want in the game now? Like, do you want to play this guy that has tonfas?
His power, okay.
Yeah.
His tonfas and a rope armor.
And it kind of sucks because the actor, I guess, is a great fighter, but his character is not a good fighter, and he just gets the crap kicked out of him throughout the movie. But then it turns out his power is getting the crap kicked out of him. He basically gets like, okay, so he has those, the weapons for some reason.
Sort of like Tonfa, but like bladed Tonfas, I guess.
He basically gets the Black Panther Wakanda suit power, where he gets this like outfit, and he can then take a beating and then use that power back at them or something. But that, if they were, he has the kinetic suit like Black Panther. Paul says, if they were like, that is such a weird power. Then to like the idea of like taking that character and then putting him in the game. That's such a weird nebula. Like, I don't know, man.
It'd be a weird game mechanic.
The new Mortal Kombat games are so technical because they're really geared towards like competitive play. But even that, I think, is too weird, and it wouldn't be a fun character for me to play. I don't think if that's his main thing, he can absorb power and redirect it back. I never liked the characters that had the thing where they could like shine for a moment and bounce the person's projectile back, because my brain don't go that fast, so it's not good for me. It's not useful to me.
Melanie also alluded to Nitara, and so it's like, it's interesting that they pulled characters from like lesser known games. Like they reference Boraicho, who is a character that you don't even really,
like the worst character.
Yeah, like so and I don't think he even exists until like Armageddon or something, right?
It's pretty late. It's not. I don't know if it's that. I feel like
it's a PS2 game. I'm pretty sure
it is the PS2. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. What was
is Boraicho in that too?
He might have been in that too. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. No, they pulled a couple characters. Yeah, from the PS2 era of Mortal Kombat games, which weren't terrible, but also like looking back,
why Rico or Rico or whatever.
Even if he in the game could be an okay character, although, as in my opinion, totally forgettable, because I was like, wait, what? In the movie, they made him even more forgettable because he just comes across as this like big dumb guy with hammer. It's like, that's right. Why do you have to have that character? Paul says Goro was on point, though. I think, I've heard people complain. They're like, well, Goro was totally mishandled. They have him in a fight in a dark scene, blah, blah, blah. I kind of love that they took Goro. The Goro fight happens in a like contemporary farmhouse setting. It's like, wait, what? That's such a weird juxtaposition. But
they made him like a monster, which is cool, you know?
Right. And he looked CG, but it wasn't bad. And it looked, in 2020 or 2021, that's the only way they're going to do a Goro. They're not going to do an animatronic again. But he looked better than the animatronic did, because the proportions in that Goro suit from back in the 95 Mortal Kombat was awkward. Goro, I thought it was cool and pretty grotesque when they killed him. Speaking of, what do you guys think of the violence?
I mean, that it was violent. Yeah, I mean, it's Mortal Kombat, so you're going to get some blood. Like it was like, and they show you that right off the bat with the cold open, just how much of the blood and violence you're going to get. So
I kind of feel like they did it in the best possible way, because it's honestly not all that much. There is gore and violence, but it's always kind of over the top. Like, we get the crazy ground hat fatality from Kung Lao, but like that in itself is so kind of cartoony and over the top that when it happens, you're like, oh, whoa.
Sure.
But it comes across as cartoony as opposed to like cruel, And the same thing with Goro. Like, if you think about it, like how Goro gets done is really grotesque, like guts spilling out. But there is that disconnect because he still looks pretty CG the whole time. So it all still looks CG. Most of the blood is also clearly CG blood. So it's not, I didn't find it disturbing. I don't think it comes across as disturbing. It just kind of comes across as like a little like cartoony violence, which for mainstream Mortal Kombat movie seems like the best way to go with it.
Right.
And the people who are people, it seems like, didn't have as bloody and disgusting of deaths. When I'm sure that was intentional.
Right. I mean, like the opening scene, I think has the most like kind of brutal violence. That you mentioned the scorpion, the first scorpion fight, and even that is quick and it's feels like a traditional like maybe samurai movie. So it's fine. It comes across a little bit differently than the like CG guts spilling out from a four-armed creature. But it's still not like super disturbing. I think the most kind of not off-putting, but like whoa one was in the opening scene where I don't know, he spears one of the guys and then like pulls him to the ground, and it's just the fact that the guy's head like sticks at a certain angle and just stays that way after he hits the ground. It's like that's a little grotesque.
Yeah,
Think about it.
I was gonna you reminded me though, even in that opening scene, or that sequence or whatever, the Sub-Zero guy takes the, I don't know if he guys uses the trowel, whatever, but he stabs the Scorpion guy and he like drags the thing up his abdomen.
Oh,
that totally could have been like a gut spilling out moment, and they didn't do that. Instead, he lived for like another freaking 15 minutes. I'm exaggerating, but still,
he
lived way longer than he should have.
It was a little, yeah. I forgot about that. That was a little kind of hardcore, but the fact that he didn't die right away was like, eh. But he lived long enough to kind of make his death more tragic, because then he lived long enough to hear that his baby was still alive and that no one was around to take care of a baby. And then he died, not knowing that, Raiden was going to come in and plot away the baby. But
this feels like a good time to just throw in Axton's 2 cents, because Axton watched this movie too and was messaging me on the side, and his main beef was Sub-Zero, because Sub-Zero has forever been Axton's like favorite character. And so first of all, he hated that Sub-Zero was so blatantly the bad guy, because he was like, for 30 years I've operated under the assumption that Sub-Zero is kind of a good guy, and that Scorpion was more the bad guy. So that was like jarring for him. And then the other thing was that he hated Sub-Zero's suit. He was like, Sub-Zero's suit looks like garbage. And I don't know, it didn't bother me as much. I did note that Scorpion's suit was awesome. That's what I did note.
Right. I feel like Sub-Zero's suit was overdone. It was over-designed, and there was too much, because I feel like you don't really realize how much just padding in general, like just crap, his suit consists of until towards in the final fight, he takes it off and is in the like more like kind of a skin tight, little bit more ninja-ish looking thing. And it's like, whoa, like he's so much smaller without that bulky suit on.
Oh yeah.
That suit couldn't have been fun to move around in.
I didn't hate the way that they went with Sub-Zero, because like you can play it fast and loose with that a little bit, I think.
Well, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to add, I didn't know, really honestly, I didn't know any of them were good guys or bad guys from the game. I just thought they were characters you could play. And so I didn't know Kano was supposed to be a bad guy the whole time. I was like, well, I mean, he's kind of a bad word, but it's a fun bad word, so I would have him on my team. Sure, why not? And then the switcheroo.
Yeah, the switcheroo is not a surprise. Like Kano was, I mean, he was a Earth Realm warrior, but he's a bad dude on Earth anyway. Like he was always a mercenary and not like a friendly one, I guess. He was always a bad guy. But the switcheroo also is not surprising, because it seems like, eventually in the game, they, even if they're Earthlings, they hop to the other side if they're a little bit mustache twirling, Let's talk about Kano real quick, because I watched a review earlier that I feel like Paul would have lots of beef with, because the guy just railed against the movie, and I don't agree with all of his. The guy wasn't wrong in any of his points, but none of what he said, like, yeah, but that didn't ruin the movie for me. But he said the characters were thin, and they are, but like, I mean, what are they going to do with some of those characters?
Right.
They could have done better. And he's like, with the exception of Kano, which proves that they can actually write a good character, but Kano's the only decent character we get. And I would say, but I've heard the actor improv'd like all of his lines.
Really?
Oh.
Which means they can't write a good character. They just
Oh,
they just let that
no.
guy run with it.
Although a
'Cause
good
Kano-
director will do that. A good director will
Right.
do that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, there's not a lot you can do. I feel like Raiden comes across weird, although Raiden's a weird character in general. Like if you follow
Right.
the games,
It's just a weird take on him.
yeah, and not what I was expecting, and I don't really care for him.
Did they take that line? This is what I got to work with. Was that a Christopher Lambert line? I felt like that was straight out of the first movie.
Oh, I don't know about that one, but there were a couple lines. There was at least another line involving him, or maybe Liu Kang said it about defending whatever, that I'm pretty sure they pulled from the original movie. They might have pulled something for him. I can't remember what it was though. Sonya was okay. You know, military characters, Melanie kind of pointed out, military characters are usually kind of cheesy in movies because they are like, well, do the stereotypical military things. Have them say military stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a trope at this point that it comes across as cheesy. Overall, she was okay. Yeah, it's weird. Jesse, you had shared a meme with us about the actor who played Kano having to go to the hospital immediately after because he was for a back surgery because he was carrying the whole movie on his shoulders the whole time or something. He'd made his character could have become so annoying so quick.
Mhm.
That's what was shocking. It was like, this should have been a character that like just annoyed me because everything I'd seen about it, I was like, oh, he's gonna get old fast, but he didn't somehow. I'm like, this is impressive.
Yeah, he worked for me. I thought he was good. And they actually, he did have character though. I think beyond just it was maybe easy character, but like the insecurity stuff with him, beyond just the improv stuff, there was character to him. Paul says Melina was weak. Melina was cool looking, I think, visually. I mean, they didn't go as monstrous with her as they could have, but I liked her look when she wasn't monster mouthing.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird to pull her, but not Katana. But I don't know how they would have like tied Katana in without getting really deep into the Outworld stuff.
Maybe maybe they're waiting since Katana's like a more direct link to Shao Kahn. They did have her fans in the back of a scene, which might have been one of the first scenes with Melina in it. I know, Melanie, you were asking about Katana when we watched it.
Yeah. It's because I'm a girl, and the few times I played, I'm like, yeah, I'll be fangirl. I don't know her name, but that's who I played as most of the time.
Well, and she's a major character. She usually, unfortunately, she kind of gets in the not necessarily in the games, but in the first movie and the second movie, she just gets like paired up with Liu Kang, gets coupled up, and I think that kind of repeats in other stuff. That animated movie, I think they might do that too. But she's at least like pretty pivotal to a lot of the plot of the Outworld dealings. Speaking of Outworld, I know I mentioned it. It looked like a desert. I don't understand how it works in this. Like, they didn't establish it very well. At one point, like, they're walking through a desert up to like the statue of Goro. And I'm like, what are they doing though? Like, where are they coming from? Do they not have cars or horse and buggy in this world? Like, I don't understand what this world is. And thinking back to it now, it strikes me as like the alien or the whatever world, other dimension or alien world in Phantasm, where you see it and it's just like these shrunk down people walking off into the desert. It's like, yeah, but what's out there? What is that world? What's their economy? I don't understand anything about this world.
What's the economy?
I mean, is Shang Tsung's after souls? Okay, but like,
do they just pay for everything in hair ties that Goro can use?
And also, like, Shang Tsung looks okay, but when they're walking through the desert in that scene, he was filthy. He had dirt all over him. I'm like, what was that? Why is he filthy? Is you just get naturally filthy everything anytime you have to walk?
That's when you have to walk behind Cabal.
Yeah.
Right. Cabal, interesting mention.
It made sense because of his tie to like terrorism and mercenary antics in the game. But it was also like, I wouldn't have thought about that tie. But he is kind of the tie in Mortal Kombat 2 or 3. So
yeah, it's weird, and I think it's okay to, like, there's some obvious backstory. It's interesting that Outworld just has people from Earthrealm that are like, yeah, I'm gonna work in Outworld now.
Right.
Like, it's weird that he was there. His voice stuck out to me. He was voice acted. The actor is credited as voice, so they had somebody else act it, and I can't remember who it is offhand. It's not somebody I'm super familiar with, but I liked it. It seemed a little out of place, but he was basically, I think they're like, well, he's related to Kano, right? Make him funny. So,
yeah,
or he has ties to Kano.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting because like they played with both, like they're like, hey, we're gonna do a bunch of stuff that just isn't even in the game, like at all, but we're gonna make a lot of references to everything that's in the game. So like we're gonna have our cake, we're gonna eat it too, and only some people will know they're eating cake.
Right. Yeah, it was, and there's some. I'm not an aficionado, and especially the last couple games, I'm not good enough, so I haven't spent the money on the last couple Mortal Kombat games. But there are some somewhat deep cut references or Easter eggs that are kind of obvious if you know them, but if you don't, like, you wouldn't know them. I thought that was interesting. Paul says, here's my overall 2 cents. For a movie based on a video game that could have been and traditionally has been incredibly cheesy, it was a good and entertaining outing, and I look forward to the next installment. I don't disagree. I feel like Paul was trying to get confrontation, get our salt up, but like I don't disagree. I still don't think it's a good movie, but I enjoyed it, and I'm down for more.
Yeah. I would even watch this again. This is ripe for a rewatch. I think there was a lot of fun there.
I know it's arbitrary, like the movies that I'll be like, this is dumb and I don't like it, versus this is dumb and I do like it.
Right.
But it's kind of the Godzilla versus Kong thing, where it's like they did certain things, and because of that, it's really not a good movie, and the plot is kind of a mess. But they know what works and what doesn't work, and they're like, let's just cut the loose crap, cut the crap that's only there out of obligation. In this case, although a lot of people, I've heard a lot of complaints that the movie this meanders a little bit, and I guess it's around when they're trying to find their arcana, their power. But at a certain point, they're literally like, hey, Raiden, you can just send anyone anywhere, right? He's like, yeah. And they're like, okay, fight scene. And it's just randomly, like, suddenly, you're going to go over here. And they're there. Jax is fighting, what's his name, in the pit location, and doesn't send anybody down the pit.
Right.
It's
and for almost no reason, where it's like, that doesn't make like that pairing didn't make any sense. Why?
And then they have 2 of them fighting in the same place, and Randy's like, why would they send 2 of them to the same place? And I'm like, because you can play 2-player. And that's exactly the reason.
Yep.
Right.
No, yeah, because he's like, you take Jax, take that guy, you take that guy, you take on them and them, and it's like, but why?
Gotta be authentic.
One less location they have to scout as well too, or build.
Yeah, exactly.
Paul says, for me, an enjoyable movie is good.
That's a whole nother argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
talking about film. I want to drop an F.
If you can enjoy a thing, you can enjoy a thing that is written poorly.
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about two different things: enjoyment versus quality.
Right.
Not a well-crafted thing.
As an artist and an art teacher, I can appreciate my students having a good time in my art class and learning something along the way, and still maybe not doing the assignment correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, because we need to end this conversation.
Yep.
Cole, we don't need him.
You could have this movie without him, really.
He was
just make somebody else the surrogate, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like that's it. He was the viewer surrogate. They, from what I understand, Savannah says Elvira isn't written well, but I enjoy the crap out of it. From what I understand, and people jumped on this, and of course, apparently I didn't hear anything about it at the time, but the director or the writer, somebody's like, Johnny Cage, they didn't want the main character to be just a white American male. Which is not necessarily traditionally how it goes with Mortal Kombat stuff, but I guess the point was like they wanted. I feel like the cast itself, if you don't whitewash the cast like previous movies have, has a lot of diversity. That said, like, yeah, but what's the assumption that you have to make Johnny Cage the main character? Johnny Cage should never be the main character. He's not that good of a character. And like apparently he was like, there's just too much to. Johnny Cage is too complex of a character to fit into this movie, blah, blah, blah. And they teased, you notice this movie teased Johnny Cage for the next one. But it's like, he's a washed up actor. That's his character. I'm fine that he's not in there.
I saw a comedy skit where they were like, you can't be in this, you can't be in the new movie. And he's like, but why? He was like, it's the dick punching.
I see that one too. Like a lawyer, it's like, it's sexual harassment or it's sexual assault. Yeah. No, it's that said, I want the Miz as Johnny Cage. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I guess okay, well, if they're going to do the Cole thing, he's kind of bland. His acting wasn't terrible, but he's just very like flat line. And he's for his family, who I didn't even realize was like his family until partway through.
Yeah.
But Savannah says, "Ugh, I hate the Miz." I don't know who that is.
He would be great for Johnny Cage. I'll give him that because he's got that arrogant thing.
Ultimate. No, he's too old. Even if I was like aging Johnny Cage, you get Van Damme.
Yeah,
I don't think he would ever do it because like he sued Mortal Kombat at one point because he's like, "That's me." And they're like, "No,
yeah, what? It totally
you.
was though. I mean, like it wasn't him, but it was like, yeah.
I mean, we wanted this to be you, and then you're like, "No," and then we're like, "Okay, well, it's not you now."
Right, it's totally not you. I'll just reiterate my problem with Cole. Make him a character you actually want to play in the game. I think it's a clever idea to add somebody new, and this is a perfect opportunity to build a new character for your next game or your next DLC for Mortal Kombat 11. But make him someone you want to play. Like I don't want to play this Cole character. Even based on this movie, I want to play just about every other character.
You know what they could have done, I think, to make it maybe a little bit better. You know how he somehow magically conjures his weapons out of nowhere after that guy punches him a bunch. Maybe if he could do that like every time, like he could conjure some new awesome weapon, that might be interesting. That might be fun. But other than that, yeah, he seems kind of bland and boring. And might I add, I don't know if it's not necessarily whitewashing if you take a character that's not white and make them as white as possible before you put him in a movie. By the way,
yeah, I mean, well, he's just very American.
Well, okay, fine.
Which is
white bread American.
It's also very interesting. Like, so where did Raiden drop that kid off? That his descendant ended up just some like random orphan in America
who wants to fight for like $200.
Right,
yeah.
Right. The only other criticism, there was some weird editing. The fights were okay. I didn't mind the fights. They did some cool stuff with like the powers, right? Man, if you're gonna focus primarily on the fights, which it should, I'm fine with the plot being a little like fight. I wish the fights were a little bit better, but like there were a couple fights where there were some edits that were like the pacing was weird. I swear I feel like there was something cut a couple times or something. There was just a couple edits that felt awkward and unnatural. I'm like, that's a weird edit. That's a weird cut. I don't like it. I can't remember what it was. Maybe I don't remember who was fighting, but there was something.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to find like if there was any information about like changes they had to do.
Oh, they said almost no reshoots on this though, right? They were bragging about it.
I mean, I don't know. I was trying to find something, but like right now, there's no information about it. The only thing I could find was behind the scene featurettes, which I alluded to earlier about,
right?
That really you're not going to find any dirt in those because they're to promote the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm thinking of New Mutants.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and James Gunn was talking about that with
Suicide Squad. Yeah,
okay. Where there were no reshoots, nothing, which is rare.
Well, they because like the first Suicide Squad was like all reshoots, so you got to even the score.
Rewrites. You made a great trailer. Rewrite this thing for us.
So I did not put my star rating on Letterboxd because Paul has commented a couple times that it spoils my opinion. Although, does it really? Because I like this movie, and this is going to get at least it'll probably get a 3, maybe? I don't know. I still got lots of crap to talk on it, so like I don't feel like my ratings really are that indicative of how my reviews come across.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't put my rating on there. I don't know, where would it sit for you guys? Is this 3, 3.5, 2, 1, 5? What are the other numbers that are possibilities?
All right. Mortal Kombat kind of just sits in a sweet spot, for me, where it's like, I love the game. I love the mythos. I've played a ridiculous amount. I'm like, I own most of those PS2 era games, so I actually knew some of these characters that I would have, that a lot of people wouldn't, like Reiko. Like I actually knew who that was. Like, I don't know why he's in this movie, but I know who he is. So I would give it a higher rating because of that. And I would also rewatch it because of all of that. So yeah, I'm going to sit in the middle ish. I mean, it'll probably get a better score than it deserves for nostalgia alone. So yeah, somewhere around 3.5, somewhere in there. 3.5 sounds too good. I would stick with 3.
I'll probably go 2.5, maybe 3, but probably 2.5 if I actually was going to, which I won't. But yeah,
it made me legit laugh out loud a couple times, and that alone gives it a couple notches. Because most comedies don't even do that,
right?
Like, you're supposed to be trying to make me laugh, and you're not funny. This actually made me laugh.
It's so sloppy with his exposition, but again, it's the thing where it's like, that's not handling it well. Objectively, that's handling it poorly, but also like, yeah, it's fine. I'm good with it. Just spit it out. I'd rather them do it poorly and just spit it out than like drag it.
Right.
On. Yeah.
It after the like Scorpion or the opening, the Sub-Zero Scorpion conflict setup, we get text exposition, and then we get Sonya exposition in the scene where they go to to Sonya's house, and like she just drops a whole bunch of crap, and it just spits it all out. Just like, here's this. Nobody questions it. Cole's not like, this is impossible. Just like, oh,
yeah,
this is a world I live in.
Yeah.
Anytime you go in a room where there's a bunch of pictures up on the wall and newspaper clippings and stuff,
the board.
Yeah, anytime you go into a movie where they have that, and there isn't at least some skepticism, then that's a good indication that this is not the best story. that this movie could have come up with. But I mean, yeah, it's in so many things, and you just accept it because you move the movie along. You can only have it be so long.
Right.
Yeah, which is fine because it's also like, yeah, that's not. It's an indication that the story's not good, or like you can't think of a good way to present it. Mm-hmm. But it's also
within the constraints that they had.
It's it's also not a bad thing because it's like we don't need to know the whole thing again. We know Mortal Kombat, and if you don't know Mortal Kombat, it's like it doesn't matter. Crazy stuff. Just we need 1 or 2 lines of dialogue to set up the tournament. Now fight.
And I don't need you to kill Uncle Ben again for me.
Yes, we don't need to see Martha's pearls in slow motion. Okay, like we know the story.
Right.
Don't drag it out, and so it made me laugh at how they were just exposition, but also like I wasn't complaining really.
I think, but the only thing is like that whole non-tournament thing though. Like it's like, then why did you waste so much time on exposition for that?
Mm-hmm.
Just be like, there's supposed to be a tournament, and just leave it at that, and then we get Shang Tsung subverting that rule the whole time, and that'd have been maybe more palatable, I suppose, than like, hey, we're gonna have this tournament. Maybe we gotta get you ready for this tournament.
Go ahead.
I don't know why they bother with the tournament. They should just play it Highlander style, where they're like, everybody go, and if you chop off their head, you get their powers. Woo! Right. That would have been
whoever's left at the end has the like supreme Shang Tsung power.
Well, again, they were alluding to the game. It's like they couldn't decide if they wanted this to be about the game or not.
Mm-hmm. I was a little concerned. I had read something before watching it, and I stopped reading it. But there was a review. One of the earlier reviews popped up. The headline was negative enough. I was like, I'm gonna read just a little bit, see what it's about. And it was basically like they did like the one thing they were supposed to, or they didn't even do the one thing they were supposed to do based on the game. And the whole game is about the tournament. They don't even get to the tournament. And I was like, that's a little worrying. But like, if they'd have changed the dialogue, they wouldn't even have to reshoot anything, and they got to the tournament. There's still random fights in random locations. It actually comes across as more tournament-like than what we've seen in the original Mortal Kombat. Yeah, kind of. I guess there were some, like, Shang Tsung's going to sit there and watch some people fight in the sand, but like it still could have worked fine. Mm-hmm. Like, what's presented there, it's more Mortal Kombat than most things. It's, here's a fight, so...
Right.
I'm fine with that. It is weird though. It's a weird decision to make the plot about not having the tournament, but
if tournaments are boring, I mean, no offense to people who love tournaments, but it is a lot of people sitting around and waiting for their turn. That's a lot of what a tournament is, you know?
Right.
Well, I feel like, I don't know. Again, I think it's something that probably... It's a decision that was probably made when they're like, we need to set up these powers. So instead of dedicating like the time that would be like the in-between tournament stuff or whatever to the character stuff, they're like, well, we need them to be training. And it doesn't make sense if they're still training as the tournament's happening. I feel like I'm just, whatever.
If they are going to go with a trilogy here, then it does make sense that this is the beginning, and then we'll see a tournament in the next movie, because now they don't have to set up how these powers work or the universe that we're in.
True.
They can just be like, hey, remember the tournament we were supposed to have? Well, we still have to have it because it never happened.
And, they talk about being understaffed or whatever. I don't know how you want to put it. But why can't they just, do some bad guy stuff and buy their heroes? Because apparently that's allowed. So,
Yeah. Did the Outworld people? They didn't have this mark, right? They didn't have to do any of that,
right? Yeah.
As far as it's Sonya. Didn't Sonya kill at least one of the Outworld people, and like she didn't suddenly get her power from that? She had to fight one of the other Earthlings.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. That's pretty weird.
Man, Earthrealm is just playing with a handicap from the word go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No wonder they lost the last 9. Did they even get into that? Did they get into the specifics?
No.
because
no, they really did. They were just like, no, they're good. Well, they're gone. This is what we got left.
That is maybe one of the sillier things from the game. Is just like you have to win 10 Mortal Kombats in order to like get the right to invade.
It's not even really a bracket. Like this, like Mortal Kombat doesn't know how brackets work.
They have to win.
You can't fill out a March Madness on this thing.
It seemed like such a weird, random, arbitrary. You have to win 10. Outworld has to win 10 Mortal Kombats, and then they can invade Earthrealm. They've won the last 9. It's like, why? Mm-hmm. Why can't it just be like randomly, occasionally? They're like, okay, Mortal Kombat tournament. If we win, we take over. That makes more sense than like you have to win 10. But I guess whatever.
10 in a row, you're doomed.
You know, I guess it's whatever. Like
we have to win everyone now from now on.
Mm.
That's
all they need is one more win.
Raiden becomes such a like jackball character because it's like that's the kind of rules that the Elder Gods come up with. No wonder Raiden's such a weirdo.
Yeah, no wonder he turns into Christopher Lambert.
Right.
I would turn into Christopher Lambert too.
I mean, listen,
Nick Cage up in here.
Raiden seems pretty cool in the early games, but like as the games go on, he's a problem. Raiden becomes a problem. Christopher Lambert is the coolest incarnation of Raiden. I don't care what anybody says. He's kind of a jerk later on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Finish him. We didn't even have news.
Nope. All right. Hey Melanie. Anything we should be amazed about?
Sure. Okay. So graphene is amazing. Probably talked about it before. It's single molecule thick,
like fabric type thing.
That's not fabric. It's like a metal. It's carbon. But it's been doing lots of amazing things. They've just discovery after discovery with it, and so there's another one. And it's, let's see, fluctuation induced current from freestanding graphene. So basically what they do is they take diodes and they put them on opposite ends of graphene. And it turns out that if you have it at room temperature, because that's a part of what, like the big thing about graphene is it's pretty much a superconductor. And a superconductor would be something that has no resistance against the flow of electrons, but more specifically at a room temperature. So electrons flow in this at a room temperature, and it's enough that it can create an electrical current with nothing, which they didn't think was possible. They thought it was impossible, but they've measured it, and no, yeah, there is a flow of electrons that they can harness with doing nothing. And the weird thing though, well, I mean, that's weird anyway, because it shouldn't be possible, but if you add an electrical charge to it, then the output is way higher than what the little bit that you put in because of its weird structure. So basically they think they can create energy from nothing with this material. Not right now, but they will be able to in the future. And they're super excited about it, mostly for small stuff like phones or GPSs and stuff like that. If they build it with layers of this inside, then it won't ever need a battery. It will create its own charge and always be charged. So they're super excited for it, and I'm super excited for it. I don't think it's anything that we're going to see soon, but probably maybe in our lifetimes at least. But yeah, it's fascinating. It kind of breaks the laws of science. There's actually a reason that it doesn't, they give, but it's very sciencey and I don't want to get into it. But it should be impossible, but it's not. And it's super fascinating. Be amazed.
Right.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's a 1 atom thick layer of carbon atoms arranged in a hexagonal lattice. Mm-hmm. It's the building block of graphite.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Interesting.
AKA that thing that was around Wanda's.
That's right.
Yeah.
It can
Westview or whatever.
Generate its own electricity and conjure your desires.
A 60s style flashback type sitcom series.
Right. What time period of TV would you go back to if you had to live in a sitcom?
Oh. I don't know. I'd either go like back to where I'm like comfortable with, which would be like the 80s, 90s, or go way the heck back when everything just seems like it's like Mayberry. You're like
fine. It's like too fine.
Yeah.
Everything's
like
good.
A little too good.
I was gonna say like I like the like Malcolm in the okay, Savannah the Munsters, that totally makes sense. Oh, we never even talked about it. Savannah, maybe I mentioned it last week. Actually, I'm not gonna mention it again. Savannah loves the Munsters though. I was like, well, Malcolm in the Middle is pretty cool, but the problem with like that time period of sitcoms is they had to deal with real stuff still. Like,
right.
if you just go back to Full House, the real stuff consisted of maybe like Jimmy's smoking at school.
yeah.
Like, that's
DJ
fine.
has a real concern. She doesn't feel good about herself.
Right. That's fine. You get to Malcolm in the Middle, it's like the parents are like, I got bills, we got medical bills, we're going bankrupt. It's like, oh God, it's just the world.
Yeah.
So
right.
I think going back further is a good idea. The Munsters would be pretty cool too. Maybe something cartoony, a little slightly cartoony, to where it's not quite the real world. You don't really have to. People get hurt, but they don't really get hurt. I like that.
Right.
That'd be cool.
They just fall in a well and then a dog finds them.
Lassie. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah.
Except you spend a lot of time in wells, but
I mean, yeah, and the dogs are smarter too. Yeah, that's great. Dogs are saving people. I love that. Let's do it.
Dogs, dolphins, horses. It's all.
I need to shift myself so you can see the Grawlix logo better behind me during these things.
Paul says he wants to hang out with Urkel. So it means he wants to be chiefing and fighting, huh?
We don't. It's okay. We're going long. We don't. So we can end it at any time. But Jesse? Have you seen that they ran it during like the Jake Paul fight or something? But or is it Logan Paul? The whatever Paul that fights. The commercial with Urkel and Snoop Dogg. It's kind of an extended commercial.
But it's talking about
the purple Urkel is part of it.
Yeah.
But like the bigger thing is apparently the guy, I can't remember his name, Urkel.
Carl Winslow and Urkel.
Urkel. Yeah, Urkel's real name though.
Carl Winslow.
No, not the TV family. Okay.
No. It's the commercial
Jaleel White or whatever.
Yeah. The commercial though is like he calls in Snoop Dogg for a meeting, but so Snoop Dogg's there, but like he's in the Urkel character, like Urkel is doing the Urkel character. Which is real weird to see. Yeah, it's real weird to see.
Yeah, I didn't think he would ever do it again.
Well, he did it so that he could, one, sell weed.
Yeah.
And two, sell fight clubs. So the big thing though, the big thing outside of this, the purple Urkel weed line that he's selling is he also owns, I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically like a social media network or founded it or something.
It's like Triller or something.
Yeah, like Triller. Yeah. And but it seems like they're kind of shifting over towards like live events or live streamed events, and they put on these like Logan Paul or Jake Paul fight, whatever, the fights.
Oh, okay.
The boxers with not boxers. And the service he was pitching at the beginning of the video is like, send them your videos of your street fights. They will live stream them and give you a percentage.
Oh,
and
live stream your assault and battery?
Yes.
Is it assault and battery if I don't know if it's unsanctioned? They're asking people to have unsanctioned fights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Sporting Commission is going to have a little bit of something to say about that.
Yeah, as soon as we watched that, I was freaking out, and I'm like, are they like, we'll pay you for your bum fights? Are they crazy? They can't do that. That's so illegal.
And at first, like, Melanie said that, and I was like, wait, that wasn't what it was it? And I watched it back. No, yeah, that's totally, send me videos of your street fights, and we'll give you a cut when we stream them on our network. It's like, What?
Yeah.
Weird.
When,
Like,
you'd
not
have
gonna
to
last
almost
long.
give both parties a cut. Like you'd have to track down the like if you're gonna pay these people for their amateur footage, like you can't pay one party and not the other, can you?
I mean, if it's just videos of street fights, like you're not even gonna pay the fighters. You're gonna pay.
Right. The videographer.
Is it like?
I guess the cell phone
World
person.
Star Hip Hop or whatever, you know?
Dude, Savannah, you want to get rich? Go get a couple extra boyfriends and then introduce them to each other. Take video. Bam.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe I should look into it just to see what the details are, but that sounded super sketchy. So,
Yeah.
so I sent the video to Melanie and I was like, first off, the future is not what the future is not what I was expecting. Imagine your brain if you sent this video back to yourself in the 90s. It would just explode.
Listen, Steve Urkel is going to try to come up with his own Thunderdome. But instead of people entering, it's just everywhere. And you just send him the winner.
Yeah.
Not only is like Snoop Dogg hanging out with Steve Urkel, Steve Urkel is selling weed and starting fight clubs. What is
the future the liberals want? This is the future the liberals want.
It is. Oh.
Dude. That guy must be super shady in real life, though. You think about it. Weird, man.
Really.
That's weird.
I would not have seen this one coming. No.
Oh, jeez.
And Paul's got the J. Jonah Jameson. He's like, "You get out there and you get me those pictures of Spider-Man. I need some videos of bum fights. And here's some purple Urkel for your trouble."
What were we watching with him in it the other day, Melanie?
Palm Springs. That's
Palm Springs.
He plays
a notable character. He shows up several times in there.
My favorite.
I can't help it. As soon as that actor shows up, I'll give me pictures of Spider-Man.
Right. Always so iconic in that role.
He says and I don't know why I like this line in that so much, but the guy's like, "I like your hat," and he's like, "Of course you do." I love that.
Yeah, his character is pretty great.
But okay,
Palm Springs. Also, real quick, I don't think I updated Paul. I concur, actually. I gave Mortal Kombat 3.5.
Okay.
A rewatch, probably a little lower, but again, not good. Super entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It's different.
Right.
That makes a difference. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks, everybody, for watching. This one will be hitting the podcast feed. Sorry, audio feed listeners. If you missed last week, you can always... The video replays are still up. I just was feeling insecure about my performance as a host. So I was like, no, I'm not going to post it. This episode will be going up. Thanks for listening. Go to grawlixpodcast.com. It's GRAWLIX podcast.com. I don't have a good Humble Bundle thing to pimp at you. They got a heavy metal comic book thing. Apparently
there's a manga one, and there's Lego. The Lego games are on sale for Humble Bundle right now. So if you don't have DC Comics, with the villains one, DC, so the DC Comics Lego game, the Marvel Comics Lego games, they even have their own Minecraft wannabe, Lego Worlds or whatever. That's all part of a Humble Bundle. So if you want to check that out, just remember that we have an affiliate link, and you should think about using it.
Yeah. If nothing else, grawlixpodcast.com/humble, or just go to grawlixpodcast.com and scroll down till you see the Humble bundle or whatever, Humble banner. It's there. We'll get a cut out of that. We're a Humble partner. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they sell pills for performance issues. Yeah, but I feel like I shouldn't be taking pills that would help with my performance as a podcast host. Probably seems like addictive pills. I realize he's making a Viagra joke, but thanks, everybody. Take it easy.
Yep.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.